sinful, morally unsound. These are all things I've heard used to describe the highly controversial practice known as physician-assisted suicide, also known as PAS. So this is something we all have to deal with, whether it's on a ballot or it's someone we actually, hopefully not, but someone we're close to or personally know. I want to go over, after doing my extensive hours of research, what exactly PAS is, who is eligible and the extensive criteria needed, states in which it's legal presently, and then the strongly voiced oppositions, and why I want to convince my audience it should be legal in all 50 states. So what is physician-assisted suicide? There's actually two different levels of it. Physician-assisted suicide is the practice of providing a patient, a competent patient, with a prescription that the patient administers themselves, and it's usually a lethal dose of a barbiturate. The physician is merely the means to this medication, and the patient, like I said, administers themselves. The World Federation actually says it allows the patient to determine the time of death and provides opportunity for the patient to change his mind at any moment in time. Now the next is known as voluntary euthanasia, and this is just for educational purposes because it's not legal anywhere in the United States. This is an actual intravenous dose of roughly the same medication administered by the physician. So now that we know what exactly physician-assisted suicide is, I want to go into what the current states' criteria that have it legalized and the states that have legalized it thus far. So there's strict guidelines to, and only in the states that are illegal, to even be eligible. So the patient needs to be an adult, 18 years or older, no minors are allowed. They must be a resident of the state in which it is legal. They must be mentally competent and able to communicate their medical needs and requirements. Now, a patient must be terminal, they just can't be ill. Their death must be imminent within 6 months or less, and this prognosis needs to be confirmed by 2 MDs. After that, so let's say they meet all of those criteria, there's still more to follow. Now that the patient is eligible, they have to make an oral request present with 2 MDs that witness this, and after their first oral request, they have to actually wait 15 to 20 days. That's 2, almost 3 weeks that this patient now has to wait and think over their responses, what they want, and they've been sitting with this. Now, once those 15 to 20 days have gone, they can make a second request, also with 2 MDs present. And then lastly, they need to make a written request. And now this has to be actually witnessed by 2 individuals as well, but one of the individuals cannot be one of your medical care providers or a member who is related to you or is requiring any of your assets. According to the Death with Dignity Board, the Supreme Court actually ruled such laws that they were not unconstitutional, but that legalizing or criminalizing the PAS was a matter of states' rights. So that means each state has the ability to decide if they want to or not. With that said, only 10 states have passed PAS is legal. So now, first one was Oregon, next was Washington, D.C., California, Colorado, Vermont, New Jersey, Hawaii, Washington, Montana, and then May as of 2020. That's only 20% of our country. Now let's go over some of the strong oppositions to the people that have to legalizing the practice. So the first one is that it goes against medical ethics, and they more than often quote the Hippocratic Oath, the oath the doctors take. Now let's see that little line that they keep pulling out. It's, "I will not give a lethal drug to anyone if I am asked, nor will advise such a plan." So first off, the oath that this was quoted from is actually the original version that stems from ancient Greece that also asked the practitioners to swear to the gods and goddesses of Greece and to not use a knife, which we do every day in surgery or in outpatient procedures. The original oath is no longer in use. Actually, most doctors don't even swear to an oath. And some schools that do are a revised that have fit modern needs and the practice that don't contain this anymore. Now, a physician, let's say, they don't like it, they can actually decline providing the support of PAS if they see it unmorally ethical. Now, to me, that's when you fight the battle of, are you treating yourself or the patient? But they do have that option to step away. The next oppositional argument is that, obviously, the religious aspect, that people say it's still suicide, which is a carnal sin. This is an apparent contradiction with anyone that's religious or even spiritual believers, and they say the regards of human life as an unmeasurable, valuable, regardless of the physical and or mental quality of the person. Now, I'm not disagreeing with this, but that's opinion. Like I said, you do not have to do it if you do not want. That is how you see it fit. Just because it's legalized doesn't mean you're being forced to do it. It's just giving people the option to choose. And just like the Amish, they do not believe in blood transfusions. Actually, it's against their religion. So, I mean, just because they don't choose to, they don't see it's wrong. Other people get them on a daily basis. Like I said, it's an option. It's just not saying you have to. Lastly, many see it as morbid. Well, unfortunately, death is. And people don't actually realize that passive euthanasia is legal in all 50 states. And what I mean by passive euthanasia is withdrawing or withholding medical support. So common practice is to sign a DNR, which means do not resuscitate, or even if the person is incapacitated, their next of kin can decide to withhold life support, which is i.e. ventilators, medications that are keeping their blood pressure up, etc. So it doesn't even have to be the person, it could be somebody else. And an article in New York Times showed that 70% of deaths in hospitals occurred with passive euthanasia. So PAS is a practice only given to those who are eligible with a terminal illness that is diagnosed by 2 physicians, so it's usually a true prognosis. It's highly controlled, obviously, with the criteria I listed, so even though you're eligible, there's still a long time frame in which they have to go through these different processes. And still with that, only 10 states have legalized it, with many do it against due to assume to their break in medical ethics, their religious beliefs, and that the fact that they think it's wrong, but you aren't the person suffering. Some of these people with terminal illnesses, I've seen them, they lose their autonomy. They can't even do menial daily tasks. They're pumped with sedatives and painkillers. And if that's their choice, then I believe that they should have the option to make it. We allow passive euthanasia with or without a person's consent. And at the end of the day, legalizing it nationally isn't forcing you to do it. It's just giving someone the choice. Now, it's not an easy choice, I'm sure, and it's not one that should be taken lightly, but I do believe that they and they alone should have the choice to make it. It's their body, it's their decision, it's their life. And that's why I think it should be legal in all 50 states. Thank you.